This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the morning of Wednesday, September 4th, 2024. I'm Alex Brown. As the International Harvester Engineering Building in Fort Wayne is listed on Indiana Landmark's 10 Most Endangered list for the second consecutive year, a not-for-profit dedicated to preserving the company's presence in the city is getting closer to its goal. Harvester Homecoming is planning to build a $12 million museum building in nearby New Haven that will feature more than 70 original International Harvester trucks, scouts, and other memorabilia that was previously displayed at the engineering building. Construction on the museum, located off Interstate 469 near the site of the proposed Fields of Grace Sports Complex, is slated to begin next year. Texas-based Academy Sports and Outdoors said Tuesday that it plans to open its 7th Indiana location at a former Marsh supermarket in Bloomington near the end of the month. The new store is one of 9 new locations the retailer is set to open this fall across the country. A spokesperson said the Bloomington location will bring about 60 jobs to the area. The Indiana Economic Development Corporation says it's keeping its options open for the sale of a large chunk of the former General Motors stamping plant site along the White River in downtown Indianapolis after a summertime effort failed to secure a commitment for the property. Mark Waskey with the IEDC said a request for proposals earlier this year generated a pretty significant amount of interest in the property, but none of the responses from local and national developers met all of the IEDC's expectations. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
IBJ Media, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation invite you to the Engage Indiana series, presented by CareSource, Indiana University, and Old National Bank. With an unrelenting focus on growing Indiana's economy, we'll dive into each region's unique challenges and distinct opportunities for growth. 9 regions, 1 goal. Indiana's bold future starts here. Discover more and register at ibj.com/engage.
A former Indiana Department of Child Services attorney has been suspended for forging names to Child in Need of Services, or CHINS, petitions. IIB's Marek Mazurek has details.
The Indiana Supreme Court issued a disciplinary order Friday against Robert Miller. According to the court's order, Miller was a staff attorney for DCS and worked for the office that covered Newton and Benton counties. He was responsible for preparing and filing CHINS petitions, which have to be verified. Miller filed 38 CHINS petitions for a year with the signatures of family case managers without their knowledge or permission. The petitions were filed between April of 2022 and April of 2023. DCS fired Miller after learning of his misconduct. The Indiana Supreme Court filed its complaint against Miller on July 11th. The parties stipulated in the agreement that other than the signatures, there were no other facts falsified in the CHINS petitions. The High Court wrote that more severe discipline was warranted, but the court considered Miller's career in public service and lack of prior discipline. Miller will be suspended for 120 days from practicing law beginning October 11th, with automatic reinstatement once he serves that suspension. He was also ordered to pay $250 for the cost of the proceeding. I'm Marek Mazurek for Inside Indiana Business Radio.
As part of its broader initiative to increase instruction on ethics, the University of Notre Dame this week announced it has received a $1 million grant to bolster moral instruction. The grant comes from the Educating Character Initiative at Wake Forest University by way of Indianapolis-based Lilly Endowment, Inc. Notre Dame said in a news release that the money will be shared between 2 programs, one that will integrate character education across undergraduate campus programs, and another that will create a 3-year fellowship to engage in character transformation for undergraduates. The Educating Character Initiative awarded a total of $15.6 million in grants to 29 colleges focused on character development and ethics studies. AES Indiana President Brandy Davis Handy is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.